Hello and welcome to the fourth game in the best of 7 series between Blackheart and Blodir. So far we've gone 3 games and we are sitting at 3-0 in favour of Blackheart, and we're about to have a look at a fourth game, and it is going to go down on open palms. So let's go ahead and get this game started and see how these guys are going to get on. We have got in the north this time, we've got Blodir. He's going his usual dark purple colour, and Cybran of course, and he is throwing down his first land factory. We can see a bunch of PGens and mass extractors planned after that, and a little bit of a plan to get some engineers out to the front to grab that hydro. For Blackheart, we've got our first land factory. We can see the 4 mass extractors going down, and then we can see a little bit of a move up towards the centre, and that is going to rush that first hydro. So Blackheart opting here to forego those first PGens and get that hydro online a little bit earlier with the assistance of his ACU. So we'll see how that works out for these guys in the early game and how much power they can bring online. Of course, hydros are a little bit more efficient in bringing power online. You get 100 power per tick from a hydro and only 20 from a T1 PGen. But the disadvantage, of course, is that you have to walk all the way out to this hydro because it is a little bit further away on open palms. Let's have a look at the expansion efforts. So we've got a pretty significant plan laid down for Blackheart already. We can see after that hydro he's planning to get a little bit more power, and then an air factory followed by a whole stack of land factories. So that's going to be a lot of land spam, and we can see something pretty similar here for Blodir. Once he's got that once he's got that hydro online, he's going to throw down the air factory. He can do that, of course, without throwing down any additional PGens because he's already put them back here, and then he's going to get a bunch of land factories online to try and get that spam out. Now, of course, this is quite a land spam map, and you've got to have a lot of APM to be able to get everybody where they need to go, because you've got to expand out to the left, you've got to expand out to the right, and you've got to get back into the rear mixers and get those built. And of course, those guys are pretty hard to defend because it's really quite easy to get a raiding unit around this neck and up into the back and take those guys out. So those are nowhere near as secure as you might think that they should be. We can see those extra PGens going down for Blackheart. He's now started on that air factory, so we can probably see a little bit of airplay soon. We'll be interested to see if Blackheart goes for an early bomber again, or whether they're just going to use that for a little bit of scout and defense against a potential early bomber from the other player. We can see Blodir does have his hydro down. He's actually throwing down another land factory before he puts that air factory down. So Blodir not quite prioritizing that air factory quite as much. So we could see a bomber out from Blackheart, which would be really problematic. If he does go first bomber, then that is going to be a little bit of a problem. So yes, what is Blodir going to do to counter this? Because he's gone third here, which means it's going to be a little while before he can even get an interceptor up. That's if he goes first interceptor out of the factory. We'll have to see if he tries to go for bomber play himself, or whether he actually just goes a little bit more defensive and gets that interceptor online to be able to take out a bomber. How is the construction going over here? We've got an interceptor there for defending, and there we go. So let's see what Blodir managed to do. He might get lucky, and Blackheart might not throw that bomber at him quite as early as he could have, and that could save Blodir a little bit because he's slightly behind in the game. And we can see that scout going out, and that is going to give Blackheart some nice intel on those coming units. There is, of course, a mole in the vicinity as well, so he does have radar coverage, and there is an engineer. Now, the engineer will have to be a little bit careful, and it looks like he's going to get lucky here because the Mantis does divert away and head over towards this expansion, and the engineer, which would easily have been picked off, actually survives in that case, and he's going to be okay. We do see this engineer out doing the same thing on this side. He's grabbing that mix, and of course there is another raiding Mantis in here. This time this engineer is a little bit more guarded by this Mantis here, and they will run headlong into each other, and we'll see who comes out on top, because there is, of course, identical firepower on each side here with these Mantis plus mole groups. And it looks like they're actually not wanting to engage, and Blackheart is a little bit unfortunate. If Blodir was able to spot it, he would have actually seen, but Blackheart has seen, and he's pulled that engineer away. He's realised though that Blodir isn't moving up with that Mantis, and there's now some additional support coming in for Blackheart. He will easily be able to deal with that raid and get the mechs finished with that engineer, so that will survive. In terms of raiding on this side, there hasn't been a lot up on this side of the map, so it looks like Blodir is fortunate a little bit in that he hasn't been harassed too badly, and Well, unfortunately for him though, he hasn't been able to secure any engineer kills with those raids so far. So a pretty much even game as a result, even though Blodir is raiding a little bit more than Blackheart in this case. So we can see that seems to be a little bit of a trend. Blodir does tend to get those raids out a little bit better, but doesn't necessarily always capitalize on those and come out better off. We saw in the first game that he did a lot more raiding than Blackheart, but he just wasn't able to out eco, and he just got hammered in the end. And the engineer is targeted by that mantis, and well, it just survives. It goes down into yellow, but he doesn't get taken out. So still not much at all in the way of engineers being taken out, and we see there's a very forward comp here for Blodir, and I'm not quite sure what the plan is with this. I'm not sure if he is aware that the other ACU is in the area, but he does have to be careful because of course Blackheart can pull all of their reinforcements in, and there is a scout coming in from Blodir, so he will see, and he's just come into range now, so he has seen it and he has decided to back up out of there because there is a lot more support for Blackheart than there is for Blodir. And ACU versus ACU, of course, is going to be very even, and a nice little factory build there. So Blodir starts a factory build just to slow down Blackheart's ACU, and that will do a little bit of an effective job. It does, of course, stop Blodir from walking when he throws down that factory, and he is now starting to get a little bit surrounded by units. We can see the shift here for Blackheart. He's throwing all of his mantis over this way towards Blodir's ACU, which is going to be a little bit of a problem. Blodir is taking the opportunity to get these mantis up into the main base of Blackheart, but unfortunately Blodir is now actually just wrapped up, and this is what I was talking about in the last game with the pathfinding. If you can get mantis or any T1 unit spammed up and under the feet of the enemy ACU, it messes up the pathfinding. They will bump off those guys, and we can see that Blodir is actually really significantly behind in health there. He is now down to 2,500 HP. He is down into the red. Blackheart has enough to survive. This is going to be a very short game indeed, because this is not going to last very long. A Cyberant ACU doesn't have a lot of HP, and down he goes only 6 minutes into the game. Just 6 minutes. That is very, very unfortunate. So let's just have a look at that again. That just absolutely wrapped up. We can see